I was in the kind of career where your schedule is booked a year in advance. And then suddenly my schedule emptied. I'll always remember I was walking home and I said, okay, this is not a job you need, it's a transformation.
People end up very successful on paper, but they're basically emotionally bankrupt.
They are very aware that they're fortunate in a certain way, in many ways, but they know that something is not quite there and they cannot always point at what it is. Every time I have a new client, they fill out a form and there's a question, how do you feel in your life out of 10? I realize when I look at my statistics, most of my clients are at 7.
This is Skin Talks, the podcast where we go deeper than skin, products, and trends and explore the conversations that actually matter in health, beauty, wellness, and confidence.
We're a mother-daughter duo and the founders of Boutique Skin Envie. After years inside the industry, we've learned that health is never just about what you use. It's about everything you digest, how you think, how you live, what you eat, how you move, what you put on your skin, and how you feel in your own body.
If you're looking for insight, honesty, and a fresh perspective on the future of health, beauty, and wellness, you're in the right place.
Let's get into it.
Skin Talks podcast by Boutique Skin Envie, hosted by Beata and Natasha.
Have you ever had that quiet moment where you look around at your life and think, this is good, but why doesn't it feel the way I thought it would? That feeling has a name. It's the 7 out of 10 life. Today's guest has built her entire practice around it, helping entrepreneurs and high achievers move from good enough to a life that actually feels as good as it looks. Janylène, welcome to Skin Talks. Good morning, Janylène. Welcome to Skin Talks. We're very excited to have you with us today for this very special episode. But before we dive into the nitty gritty of the episode that we're recording today, we wanted to ask you, we'd love for our listeners to hear from you how you got here, basically. Tell us a little bit about your story.
How long have we got?
We've got all day.
I would say first, I'm a hypnotherapist, hypno coach. Mainly this is what I do today, but I come from the corporate world and I spent 25 years there. And I know we'll deep dive into that because it's really linked into what I'm doing today. And the people that I work with are entrepreneurs like you, CEOs, COOs, leaders who really are at 7 out of 10 in their lives. So they really say, I'm very fortunate. I have a wonderful life. I cannot complain, but there is this thing, that I've been trying to change or to transform for years. And I've done so many things, never able to really get through this. And then they come to me, and this is really when I come into play. Those are the people I help and I work with. I would say most of my career, I was the in-between person. I was in between Toronto and Montreal, Toronto and London. And now I'm like between my clients and their subconscious mind. I'm kind of help them bridge that place and go and seek inside their subconscious mind the stories they tell themselves that keeps them stuck or keeps them in a place where they're not very fulfilled, even though externally it looks very good. It looks a 10 outside, but often it's a 7 inside. And it's a good 7, but they just don't appreciate that 7. So
Right. And I think that there's the 7 on 10, like your 70% is good, 30% is something, there's a missing link somewhere. So that's where you've created this new kind of business model coaching for your clients. Sounds like they're at more high level executives, like you said, CEOs, COOs, entrepreneurs, and people who have, let's say, more maybe managerial positions. Do you also deal with people that are not so much in that position? Or so it could be like a mix of anybody in any position that they're at in their life. Anybody who's feeling that they're at a 7 on 10 in their life.
Yes, I would say I do deal with people come from all walks of life and all types of experience. But my main focus, because of my background as an executive myself, I tend to relate a lot to entrepreneurs and executives because I think they feel that they have somebody that really understands where they're coming from.
100%. Okay, well, let's get into it. So the first question I had for you today, you had a title. You had a salary and you had the corner office kind of style. Like we can picture the kind of executive that you were at the time. And so tell us what happened.
What happened is I was very tired, like very, very tired.
Mm-hmm.
And I said to a friend of mine, I want to go to a vacation where I won't come back more tired than I am, because this is what you go, you drink, etc., and you come back, you're more tired than when you left. So she sent me to the ashram in the Bahamas, and I went there for a week, and I did the retreat. And at the time, I had an alcohol problem, but it was still very manageable. But I didn't drink for a week, and I came back, I was levitating. I was
Yeah.
like so. I don't know. I was like in another world. And then I get called into the office, and my boss had flew from Toronto to come and tell me that, I was let go that day.
So
And I
basically
said,
part of a restructuring kind of thing?
yes, yes, it was a restructuring. We knew it was coming, but you always kind of think not me. Some people all think, oh, it's going to be me, and some other people say not me. And I was more in a not me kind of, and I got that wake up call. And it's funny because I looked at her and I said, thank you. Like I was probably on the verge of burnout, and I didn't know it. I was
Mm-hmm.
really, really tired.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was a gift for me at the time. I didn't know it yet, how full of a gift that would be. But yeah, it was a very transcendent experience. When you're in HR, like, you've let go a lot of good people in your career. Not because, for all kinds of reasons you've let go people, but now living the experience yourself is
Yeah.
really something
Yeah.
different.
So being in HR and then having HR come into you is like, it must have been quite the experience for you. And so what kind of, it happens to a lot of people. Like, it's more common than you think, right? So what are some of the, like, what happened to you at the time when this happened to you?
The first thing is, I was in the kind of career where your schedule is booked a year in advance. You almost know a year in advance that you're going to be in that board, in that meeting, in this place, in that city, in that conference, blah, 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 a year in advance. And then suddenly my schedule emptied.
One day to the next.
Nothing in my schedule. I felt a void. It was really scary. It was really scary to wake up in the morning and not knowing minute by minute almost where you were going to be. And also that identity, like, this is who I work for. I worked for a very renowned, reputable business. So you
Mm-hmm.
have that name that you carry with you that becomes
Mm-hmm.
your name. So
Mm-hmm.
you really identify to that role, to that position, to that company, and it becomes who you are. And then
Yeah.
suddenly it's all gone. And there you are with yourself.
Yeah. Which is, I can totally relate, because something similar happened to me. I didn't get laid off, but I was, my life changed literally in a matter of 6 hours. Everything changed. And so you wake up and I will say there's also like you said, originally you couldn't believe it was happening to you. You were part of the group of people that are like that happens to other people, but not me. So it's a very humbling experience, because it makes you realize that you are not invincible and you are just like everybody else in a lot of ways. But I think, in terms of grieving, you must have been grieving a loss of identity, grieving a loss of your life, purpose.
Yeah, I think that it didn't came as, I was so tired, as I said, that I went to the ashram, I came back, and I was in that other state. I was in that frame of mind of taking care of myself,
Yeah.
really,
Thank
and
God you did
eating
that before,
better.
right?
I know, exercising and eating better and all this.
No alcohol.
No, no, believe me, I had an alcohol problem. So as soon as I was out of the ashram, I hit the first bar. Right, that's a
Okay.
whole. We could do a whole podcast on alcohol, but because I stopped in that recovery. I should actually, if I wire back that losing my position was really what brought me to become sober eventually. So that's why I say it was more than a gift, right? It
Yeah.
was giving me back my life. But I went in an interview 3 days after I was let go. And I'm a professional. I'm in this interview for a VP role in a bank, and I drew a blank. I could not do the interview. I could not utter an intelligent response. And I walked out of the interview, and I always remember I was walking home and I said, okay, this is not a job you need, it's a transformation.
Yeah.
It's not a job that you need, it's to transform your life. This is no longer working for you. This is no longer where you want to be. And you have to be able to face the fact that you don't want anymore to work in those big towers and be on a plane every week, and that's not the life you want anymore. And
Mm-hmm.
that was a very humbling moment. That was the real coming to me, admitting that this image I had built, I no longer wanted. In fact, I never really wanted, probably. So
There's a lot to unpack in that. There's a lot to unpack in that because I just feel I can very much relate to you, just because of my own personal experience and the all of the different layers of self-discovery once you break up with your identity in a way, and you go through this massive transformation. So I find it so interesting that that actually, like you said, you went for a job interview within just a couple of days because your mindset was, I have to bounce back. I have to do, right? And then realizing you couldn't utter a word in the interview, and then having to take a step back to understand what does that mean for you in terms of transformation. And I think, we're talking about this in terms of a profession, our careers. But I think a lot of people go through that just personally, waking up one day and realizing in their personal life, they're married, they've been married forever, they raised a family, and it's not where they want to see themselves moving forward. And just being able to take apart and rebuild again it's first of all, it's very brave, but it's also not very easy to do. So tell us now how you came into becoming where you are today in this position.
yeah, so that allowed me to build the model that I really work with now, which I'll get back to, but she's really peel back, rewire, and rise. So in the peel back stage of my transformation, what I really did is I took a team around me. So I really took a team around me, and that included that epiphany. Like, I had many epiphanies in that, but the first epiphany was when I stopped drinking. Was really one day, my boyfriend at the time said, wine is getting to your brain and it's no longer fun. And then I said, oh my God, somebody sees what I'm feeling, that my brain is slipping, that I'm no longer able to continue to drink. So I stopped drinking. That was day one, day two, stopped drinking. And then I built a team around me. And in that team, there were all kinds of people. There were a mesotherapist, there were a trainer, there was a nutritionist, there was a psychologist. And I worked with all those people, and I did a bit of AA as well. And I really built a team around me and listened to podcasts. And every day I was walking. At the end, I was walking like 80K a week, but just like really walking and listening to podcasts and taking it in and doing everything. And one day I get into an hypnosis session and I get out of the hypnosis session and I'm like, wow. Something has shifted so dramatically that I said, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. I want people to feel like I feel right now, free from something that's been in me for so long that I could even name it. It was so familiar that I didn't even know it existed. But now that it's gone, I see the difference. I was already an ICF certified coach. I was already coaching, mentoring executives and entrepreneurs. And I said, I'm going to become a hypnotherapist. So, I went to LA, and this is when I trained with Mary McGinnis that you had already on your podcast.
So interesting.
Oh, they trained together. Amazing.
I know, we trained at the same time in LA, and I was so attracted to her. I really liked her.
She's lovely.
Sometimes I have clients who want to, or more in her area, and I send the clients to her. But so anyway, so I became a
I just wanted to
hypnotherapist.
say,
Yeah.
sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but all the things that you were saying, the team around you and stuff like that. I also did something similar. And Marie McGinnis was one of the people in my team. She was
In
a
your
very
team.
instrumental part of my recovery or my transformation that I went through. So it's so funny that you know her
I
also.
know.
I just find it's very interesting. We have so many similarities.
I know. When I saw her and I listened to the episode, I was like, wow. So
Yeah.
I got trained at the same time as her in LA, and I came
Amazing.
back and started my business 6 years ago in 2018, almost 7, 8 years now. And I was sober at the time, and this is how I became a hypnotherapist, wanting to help people really free themselves from things that they're not even aware of, that it
Yeah.
really is in a subconscious mind. So I said, I remember I saw it. I was on the plateau and the sun was outside. It was like in a movie, that moment where I saw everything I've done in my career so far. I saw my personal transformation of becoming sober and how I kind of helped myself through that. And I saw this hypnotherapy session and I saw the whole thing. I said, okay,
Like a
I have
vision.
all, yeah, I have every tools to build a very powerful platform to help people. This is really how it felt. So,
Oh, so amazing. So let's get a little bit into what you are doing right now. So, people end up very successful on paper, but they're basically emotionally bankrupt. So you've built this model like around the 7 on 10 and then the 10 on 10. So define the 7 on 10 for our listeners. Like, what does it look like on the day to day?
so maybe just to go back a little, I wouldn't say people are emotionally bankrupt. I would say people are in a state where they recognize that they are fortunate to be where they are. And they will
Yeah,
often,
yeah, I agree.
yeah, sometimes they will say, I cannot really complain. Like they are very aware that they're fortunate in a certain way, in many ways. But they know that something is not quite there and they cannot always point at what it is.
Like it's foggy kind of thing. There's a fog.
Exactly. Sometimes they know. Sometimes they will say, I cannot speak in public and or whatever it is, but sometimes it won't be so clear. So the 7 out of 10 is the exterior. Is it what it looks like from outside?
Okay.
This is the Instagram life. This
Yeah.
is the social media life. This is the, what it looks like outside. And the 7 is what it feels inside. And because of the gap, we feel that the 7 is no good. But the 7 is fantastic. The 7 is amazing. And if all your life you are on 7 most of the time, and you have those vignettes where you are a 10 on 10. Like this morning, I was in bed and I was preparing for today. I was very happy to come here, and I was with my dog and I was like speaking out loud, and I was, and it was a 10 out of 10 moment.
Yes.
And I say, if you have 10 out of 10 moments, vignettes in your life, and you live most of your life on a 7 out of 10, it's quite amazing. But because we have this image of the 10 on 10, we feel the gap, and it's the gap that drives us to be unhappy.
So interesting. Yeah.
And it's also that once you live on a 10 out of 10, it becomes familiar. And when it's become familiar, it becomes natural. And sometimes you no longer so much appreciate those 10 out of 10 moments.
Okay.
So the 7 out of 10 makes you appreciate really fully, completely the 10 out of 10.
And also to recognize it,
Exactly.
to really
and
become
to feel
aware of it. And when you're not in the 10 on 10 moments, you also know everything's good. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah. Very interesting.
So basically, the 7 out of 10 is like an invisible like space that you're at because of what you see out there that makes you feel maybe like not good enough, or that you're missing out on something. Okay, interesting. So it's like fake in a way.
Well, see how it came. This is really my practice. And again,
Yeah.
everything I'm going to share with you today is what I see. It's not all social science, but this is really what I see. I have statistics. Every time I have a new client, they fill out a form and there's a question: how do you feel in your life out of 10? And I realize when I look at my statistics, most of my clients are at 7. Like, around 80% of my clients are at 7. And when I look at what do they want to feel better, relationship, career, feeling good enough, all those things. So that's the gap.
So they have a gratitude of where they are at,
Exactly.
but there's something that
There's
doesn't.
always something like they're not happy where they are. There's a potential.
Yeah. And is it more like really coming home within themselves more?
I think
sometimes?
I think the first step is really about taking a moment to say, wow, this is where I am. This is fantastic. I'm here. I am here now today in that life. That is the sum of the choices that I've made and the circumstances that have occurred.
Mm-hmm.
And now I have seized or ran away from those circumstances. And this is my life today. And now, how do I want to keep transforming this life? How do I want to keep on experiencing my life as an entrepreneur? Or how do I want to keep experiencing my life as a mother? How do I want to keep, you were saying in a podcast, Natasha, how once you read everything that there was about becoming a mother and about all the things you need to do to be the perfect mom, the 10 out of 10 mom, right? And when you hit reality, maybe your reality was really probably more than enough.
Yeah.
But that thing that you see outside makes you feel that you're not enough, that you're not adequate. That's the 10, right?
Yeah.
I find that very interesting.
So then how do you help your patients?
Clients.
Yeah. Okay. So then how do you help your clients sort of understand that their 7 out on 10 is a 10 on 10, that like they're good where they're at, or how do you help them improve, or what's that process?
The first process is really to peel back, is to understand what is the story we're telling ourselves? What is the subconscious, unconscious background story that we hear all the time? I don't know, Natasha, if you took the time to say, okay, this is what I'm hearing. I'm not a good mother enough, or I don't know enough, or I'm going to do, I don't know, right? Maybe you have an idea about do you have an idea about what you were hearing?
Like pre having my son?
No, when you said at a moment you said, I was looking at everything you need to do and you need to have and you need to.
I mean, yeah, I remember looking at that and thinking like there's so much information out there and I have to get this and this and this. But I was able to, even before he came, like kind of understand what I wanted out of my motherhood journey. And then I kind of peeled back and I honestly, I just stopped listening to everything on Instagram, to everything people were saying. Like I just stopped listening to the noise, and I was able to get myself there. So then now in my motherhood journey, I'm very like baseline, just doing, like, I just was telling my mom in the car on the way here, actually.
Planning a next episode, a solo episode.
Yeah, I feel like I'm almost like, it's a kind of grungy word, but I feel like I'm raw dogging motherhood. I'm just going by the seat of my own.
By the seat of your pants.
By the seat of my pants, and just doing, and I'm not over compensating, but I understand that there's a lot of people that see, especially on social media, a lot of other moms, that see like the mom waking up in the morning, going to the gym, doing all this stuff before the baby. And I can understand how people are like, oh, I need to be doing that too. I think I'm fortunate enough that
you're not comparing yourself.
I'm not comparing myself to other people, because that just causes me anxiety and causes me a little bit of unhappiness. And I know, like, as long as my son's happy and he's good and my relationship's good with my baby daddy, like, we're thriving. So I think I'm fortunate enough.
You're blocking out the noise.
I block out the noise at an extreme level.
Yeah. You took charge of that.
But it consumed me. Like, there's moments in postpartum, like a week after or whatever, where I would hear somebody on social media being like, my son's 4 weeks old. Now he's sleeping 4 hours at a time. Now he's 8 weeks. He's sleeping 8 hours. And I'm like, my son's like sleeping 30 minutes like comparing myself. And then I realized that it's just to each their own. And I have to stop looking at that because it's causing me uncertainty in my own body. And that's not what I want.
You're illustrating perfectly the peel back. The peel back is really to understand what is going on subconsciously in my head. Like what is going on that brings me into that mode, right? And a good example, you have a great example. Another good example could be people have to present in front of others, like public speaking. Some people will not apply to certain position, will not take certain opportunity, will not start a business. There's so many things that they won't do in their life because they're afraid of public speaking. But in reality, it's the story they tell themselves. They could tell themselves, I'm going to be ridiculed, whatever it is, right? People are, and they're not aware of that story. And once they see that story for what it is, this is when they can start to choose another story. And because our brain likes to keep us alive, keep us in the familiar, keep us in that story, because that story is so familiar that you're not taking all those risks and your brain keeps you safe in that familiar zone. Once you say, okay, I want to believe something else, I want to believe that people will learn from what I will have to share. I want to believe that people will be inspired by what I have to say. Then you start shifting the inner dialogue. You start shifting the emotions. You start shifting the action. And then you create a new familiar. That's why with my clients, they always end up, each session, they leave with a recording about 12 minutes that they listen to every day, that you probably had with Marie as well. That's the rewiring. That's the, brain learns by repetition. So you repeat another message.
I've done that multiple times in my life with different things. I had my Akashic cards read recently, and I've had to read every day for 21 days something, but now I'm like, I think it's 60 days, and I still, every night before I go to bed, I read it. Just because I think you can create habits for yourself, and you can, in good and negative ways, right? And it takes 21 days, they say, to form a habit or to break a habit in a way. And this, from what I understand from my session with Marie McGinnis, it was 21 days of repetitive listening to rewire different thought patterns. And I believe it works. I really do believe it works. I'm a bit living proof. But I wanted to ask you, so people, this narrative that people have where they second guess and they doubt, what do you find is the common denominator of where that comes from? Like, what's the source of that?
Well, the source is often the childhood, unfortunately, because until the age of 7 or 8, we live in that alpha world where we really, record everything, even what's in the background. We just record, and believe everything we
also
see,
digest everything.
Hear. And we don't question. We don't have the ability to yet question. If there's something we question, is ourselves. It's not our environment. It's not our parents. It's not anything. When you play in the sandbox, you really are in the sandbox. You really are building a castle. When you're teaching school to your little brother, you really are a teacher. You really are becoming this thing. You really are experiencing as if it was real. So the brain really hear stories, and then life confirms those stories with the bias of confirmation. So we all have this, many people will have this bias of confirmation where you hear one thing. Let's say you tell me, oh, this person is very narcissistic. I'll take a word that we hear every day
it's
now.
It's overused, yeah.
Yeah, overused, but I'll take it because it's so common. Okay, this person is very narcissistic. And my brain will start to want to confirm what you say. And every time the person will say something that is close to, looks like, smells like, I'll try to, oh yeah, that's right. And I'll confirm, and then and this will become a truth. Well, it's the same. Like if your mother is telling you or somebody's telling you, you're so slow. You're so slow. It takes you so long to put your shoes on. You're so slow. And then you go to another place and they tell you, oh, you're so slow. And then, oh my, you're in school. And then it becomes a truth because you heard it many times, or you've heard it in a very specific imprint that was very charged emotionally. So the parents and other parents could have said, oh, I just love to see how you take the time to really neatly
Exactly. So
tell
it's how you frame it.
and it's okay. I mean, those are both realities. And then depending on the personality types and on the different culture in which you are and the different time of your parents, parents are not the same with the first, the second, and the third child because they're not the same person, right? They
Mhm.
have transformed, so they're not going to react the same way. So depending on all this, you will take it in. It's never the story, it's how you interpret the story. You could have a parent telling you you're slow and ended up believing that's a beautiful thing. I'm a slow artist. I'm a slow, I'm a slow this and that, and it's very trendy now. And that's amazing that I have this ability. And then other people will transform that into self-harm and or believing that they are slow. So it's
And
not always a
incapable.
secret.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's often not every time because I have clients who will have had difficult experience at work, different experience with friends, different experience just in life in general, and they will have to form beliefs later in life. But most of the time, they
They're
came.
imprinted early. Licento, fragrance that feels like you. We chose Licento because fragrance should feel like a reflection of you, not a mask you wear. Created in Montreal, this collection of 6 clean, exotic fragrances is made to live with your skin, not on top of it. Each scent is crafted with fine ingredients, free from harsh synthetics, and designed to evolve with your chemistry. Subtle, modern, and deeply personal. It's fragrance reimagined, honest, skin-safe, and beautifully intentional. Discover Licento at bskinenvie.ca. That's bskinenvie.ca and use SkinTalks15 for 15% off your first order.
And is also like insecurity and like self-worth have a play a little bit in this too, I'm assuming?
What do you mean exactly?
Like when you ask your question, you're saying that when children's childhood can really like affect them in the long term, but like also like being insecure about, I guess, being what you're told. Let's say like my mom tells me that I'm slow at tying my shoelaces. Eventually I'm going to become insecure about it, right? Like
You
potentially.
could, yeah.
It depends. Again, it depends.
It depends your
Again,
interpretation. Yeah.
it
Okay.
depends on the personality, depends on
Yeah.
the rank on the family, depends on your parents, depends you might go to a friend and the mother's friend may tell you something else, and that's maybe what you're going to record instead. So
Yeah. And like you said, you once you've heard it enough times from one source, then you look for validation from other
yeah,
people who are going to reinforce that message that you heard once, right?
yeah,
Even
exactly.
if it's not entirely true. I know it was the same for me. I was in that kind of environment in my life and it stems from childhood. Same type of situation where I built in my narrative in my mind, and how I talked to myself wasn't good. Especially when it came to my personal life. In my business life, I was like, reckless, and in terms of like living the wild, wild west, I would do anything. I would try anything. I always have a strong belief in my capabilities and that I would make it through and that I would survive. But there is voices in your head when it comes to, are you good enough to do it? Are you making the right decisions? Is this what you really want? Are people going to like what you create? And so that is that 30%, I think, where we sit in this space that is not giving us the 10 on 10 kind of thing in a way.
I think, let's take, for example, kids who are bullied, right?
Yeah.
You have a kid who's being bullied who's going to say, I'm going to show you that you guys are wrong. And that's going to be the spark
Yeah.
to build themselves, to build a business, you're wrong. I know who I am, and I'm going to, and then you're going to have the other kids who's going to be bullied, who's going to turn out very differently, right? So it's never. I always say to people, beware of one event equal one thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's the way I see it in my practice and in real life. It's never that way.
Mm-hmm.
Even the situation where you have kids presenting in class and being laughed at or being, it's not going to spark the same thing.
No.
And
So if I understand correctly, what you're saying is that some people will say, you laughed at me, so next time I do this, I'm going to do it better. And then you have the other people that are going to say, I'm never going to do this again
Exactly.
because I'm not good enough to be able to do it. And people are going to laugh at me. So and I guess that's also why you were saying about when you have multiple kids in a family, the experience of each child, even though the parents are the same, they have different experiences and they grow up differently. I mean, in my family, we're 5 people and we couldn't be more different, even though we had the same, well, more or less 3 of us had the same mother and father, 2 of us the same father. But yeah, it's interesting. It's very interesting how we navigate that as we grow into adults, and then how we manage it once we become
Yeah,
adults.
when in that peel back phase, it's not about the events. It's really about how we interpret those events.
Yeah.
What kind of emotions they create in us.
Yeah.
And then those emotions create action, and those
Yeah.
action becomes our life. So I always caution people to say, oh, when this happened to people, this is how they react, or this is how they become.
So yeah,
This
not
is not what I
generalizing.
necessarily see, in my practice. I don't work with labels as well.
Yeah.
People coming and saying, oh, I'm ADD, can you help me? Or I'm this, can you help me? I'll be like, okay, what are the behaviors you want to work at? Oh, I want to be more able to focus. I want to be able to listen to people when they talk to me. I want to be able to pause. Let's work on that. And then
Yeah.
find out why it's important to you. What is it going to allow you to accomplish in your
Yeah.
life?
Yeah. Yeah. I like that you really don't bucket anything together. You really take everything and that's part of the rewiring too, right? Because people will
Yes.
come in and say, I have ADD, so therefore I've been told that I am this and I have that. And you don't follow necessarily the rules. That's really, really good. I love that.
Well, it's breaking the familiarity.
Well,
I
yeah.
guess too.
And
Well, it's also when you live with a label and you identify to that label, it's easy to start to conform to that label, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying labels are not useful. They are very useful if you work with your psychologist, as your psychiatrist, if you work with your doctor, they are very useful. But in the world where I live, where my clients and their subconscious mind, those labels, they're not useful. That's not what we're looking for. We're looking for what does it mean for you, and what transforming certain behaviors or certain thoughts will help you accomplish.
Okay, so let's get into what are some of the hidden beliefs that are running in the background that keep people stuck, do you think?
The three family, actually, my superior taught us that in 2018. And since then, this is what I really have witnessed in my practice. So there might be other things, but those are the main 3 families of limiting beliefs, if you want. The first one, it's all the family of not good enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not competent enough. I'm not tall enough. I'm not beautiful enough. All the not enoughness in the world. And I would say if everybody could get a little bit better at this, that would change the whole world. Because everything that's not happening in this world because people don't feel good enough, all the projects that are not being put forward, all the conversations that are not happening, everything that's not happening in the world because people don't feel good enough. So if we could just move slightly on this positively, it would really impact the world. So that's the kind of first family. The second family is really about connection. And it's really, I'm too different. I cannot connect. I can't connect. I'm too different. People will not understand. So because I can't connect, I'm too different, then I don't apply to this role. I don't do this. I don't do that. I avoid this. I avoid that. I stay in my little world. And then the third family, it's a very interesting one in the world we live today. This is not available to me. Being rich is not available to me. Having a lovely relationship is not available. It's good for others, but not for me. Having a house, having a career, being happy, whatever it is not available to me. It's available in the world, but not to me. So those are the 3 big families. And I would say I haven't yet really found a situation, and there might be, because people who come to me, I guess, are attracted to a certain kind of work, and maybe they find they find themselves in those categories. But those are the main three big families I see.
And so how does hypno coaching, or how do you pronounce it? Hypno coaching?
Yeah.
How does that help? Or how do you do that? Bring those people that are in those three different families of not good enough, troubles with connections, or like avoidance tendencies, or, this is not for me category. How do you transform that person through hypnotherapy, hypno coaching?
Yeah, the person transform themselves.
You guide them.
I'm just knowing the technique, and I bring them there.
Okay.
Hypnosis is very powerful. Like coaching is powerful. If you're a really good coach, it's very powerful. But hypnosis it's coaching on steroids. And then I do use RTT, Rapid Transformational Therapy of Marissa Peer. I'm also a certified Paul McKenna's hypnotherapy technique. So I blend a bit of everything. But hypnosis, three main things happen when you're under hypnosis. The first one is you lower your sense of hypervigilance. So you can really focus on something. And the noise around really goes away. It's just when you really focus on a task and somebody brings you a coffee and you just realize 3 hours later that there's a cold coffee beside you because you were totally absorbed.
Entranced. Yeah.
That's what hypnosis allows. The second thing hypnosis allows you to dissociate, to go above and look at your situation from different angle. I use it a lot with creativity when I have entrepreneurs who are stuck into a business model or stuck into something and they can't find a solution. It's a very creative way to seek different solutions because you can see the world and the situation and yourself and past situations in a very different angle. Not emotionally
so you kind of separate from yourself to be able to see it
and you can
as an outsider.
And then you have a different view of it. And once you see something, you cannot unsee it.
Yeah.
This is exactly like when you don't believe in Santa Claus anymore. You cannot believe in it again because you have taken in that it doesn't exist. Right. That's the same thing. Once you see that, oh yeah, my mom was telling me all the time that I was slow, but I was just taking my time.
Enjoying the moment.
Exactly.
Maybe.
Love the way that, I was in my head thinking about something else. This is what was happening. It's not that I am slow, it's that I am creative, or it's not that I'm slow. So you can tell yourself another story.
Yeah.
And then the third thing is really how the brain and the body communicates. They're not separate as we tend to think sometimes. And under hypnosis, they communicate a lot. So whenever you want to prepare yourself for public speaking, whenever you want to prepare yourself for a tough conversation, I have board presentations, anything, you practice under hypnosis and you just get into those sensation of being, let's say, in front of 30,000 people and feeling so grounded and so good and focused, and you feel it in your body and you can induce it and live the experience. So you create a new familiar. So under hypnosis, you create fake new familiar. So your brain has already experienced it because it doesn't make the difference between truth and imagine realities.
So you actually feel it in your body. You feel.
Exactly. And you're creating that new familiar. So you have already presented in front of 30,000 people and it felt great. So it's already in your body. It's already
you have confidence to move forward
creating that familiar. Yeah. So that's why hypnosis is so powerful. And then the coaching that you do under, there's all kinds of approach in coaching. And I use many different approaches. I was trained in coaching de gestion by a very reputable school. Then Marissa Peer gave me the RTT, which is a very segmented and I would say written approach. And then Paul McKenna. So all those techniques that I finally blended into my, peel back, rewire, and then rise. So under hypnosis, rewiring is very easy.
So I always heard, and I'm asking this because I also, when I went to John Abbott College, I took a course in hypnosis.
Oh,
And
yeah.
Really? I
I
didn't know
forgot
that.
about it until now. Honestly, I truly forgot about it. But we weren't really practicing it, the hypnosis. The teacher was, professor was talking about what is it and stuff like that. But I've always understood that you either can be hypnotized or you can't be hypnotized. Some people can't be hypnotized, but that's us just preventing ourselves from being able to be hypnotized. Can you talk a little bit about that? Like, do you have people coming in, clients that come in to see you that you just can't get them in that state?
So far, I would say there hasn't been many people that didn't go really under. But let me
Back up.
give you some, yeah, here. So some very reputable psychiatrist is called, his name is going to come back, but he's one of the top at Stanford. And he says he has developed a test to see if you are hypnotizable or not, your degree of, how hypnotizable you are or not. Now, the caveat to that, the people will say is, yeah, but he uses always the same induction technique. So other people like Paul McKenna will say there's so many variety of induction technique. You just need to find the right induction technique for the right client.
Mm-hmm.
My take is it's all about connecting. It's all about any therapeutic alliance. If you feel comfortable with me, if you trust me, if we're connecting together, it'll be easier for you to let go. So that's the first principle,
So
I would
trust.
say. The first principle is to feel comfortable, to feel trust, to feel good, connected in the relationship. The second one is really about that's a natural state. You go there whether you want or not every day just before you fall asleep. You go in alpha brain, alpha state just before you go to sleep, just before you wake up in the morning, when you are caught up in a movie. So you go there naturally. What I tend to see is this my clients are all, many are like, you know, right brain, very logical, professional, and everything. So the first session, they tend to look at the process, they tend to observe what is happening, right? And in alpha brain, you can be very conscious, right? So they will say, oh, and then as we go along in the different session, they go deeper and deeper because the trust has been built, because they have done the experience. They start to like the experience to be under and present in front of 30,000 people and feel so
So
empowered.
they can pop back in there very quickly.
Exactly. They
Yeah.
want to go back in that experience. They want to go back into feeling that again. So I would say when I have some people that I cannot hypnotize for medical reasons, they have had seizures or other kind of medical conditions where I cannot hypnotize them. I will use the same tools without hypnotizing them, and I will get excellent results as well. I would say hypnosis gets you there faster, but it's not mandatory.
Can you share a client transformation that was something that really moved you and moves you today?
Yeah, I have this cluster of clients that are selling their business, and they're, just like, let's say in 5 years from now, you just decide that you want to sell your business, and you start to talk to people who want to buy the business, etc. Now you're going to go through so many different situations because this was your baby. You built that baby in adversity. In COVID times specifically, you had two jobs, working night. You were at 6 o'clock in the morning texting your daughter to get things done. I mean, this is the whole story of this business, how it grew, how it transformed and everything. And then somebody wants to take this baby and bring it somewhere else. So you can imagine there's a lot of things people are going through. So one of those clients really came to me at a moment in his life where I had identified somebody who was going to buy the business, but he felt he didn't deserve to be happy in life. And he knew that. He kind of knew this thing. I don't deserve to be happy. So the idea of selling the business and then cashing in all this money, but not being happy was scaring him because he was finding some kind of happiness in being the entrepreneur that he was
Like fully
having.
identified with that and didn't know how to get out with it. Yeah.
Exactly. Right. So the journey we did from I don't deserve to be happy to the business was sold, was bought. He had to stay in the business for a while. And there's all kinds of things that entrepreneurs are experiencing. If one day you sell the business and you have to stay for 2 years where you're not the boss anymore, it's an experience.
Oh yeah.
Right?
I've heard it's very difficult.
Yeah, so navigating this, I love to work with my clients, navigate it, because in my career, I was hired as the integrator, like the law firm from Toronto, a law firm from Montreal, and I was the one in between amalgamating things. And so I've done it. I know the experience within. I love to do that with the entrepreneur. So anyway, so he sold the business, and now he's in his rise part. And the rise part of my approach is really about giving back. It's about impacting. It's about being able to say, wow, I've been through all that human experience, and now I feel so equipped to give back in whatever way that it is. I feel so equipped. And now he knows, like we started this work. He didn't believe he deserved to be happy. Now he knows not only that he can be happy, but he experiences happiness, and in a very different way that he had portrayed it at the beginning. He's very happy that he was able to cash in the money and now work on his projects.
Good. That's
And
fun.
like, so what's the timeline of this? Is it like a year's work or is it like 6 months?
So I have my basic program is really where everybody enter. It's 5 sessions and it's 2 to 3 hours. And I see my clients every 2 to 3 weeks. So everybody, and a lot of clients, that's all. That's the work they're going to do with me. And that's good enough. And, maybe they're going to come back in a couple years, but they really saw tangible transformation in their life and their career, because it's really linked. We talk about life and career, but it's not separate.
It's very, very linked.
It's very intertwined, right? But then I have people that I work with for 6 months and a year on different modalities, and mostly entrepreneurs selling their business. It'll be probably 2 years. It'll be a year to 2 years.
I can imagine like selling
process.
BSC, and we're still in it, but not the owners, like,
and not making the decisions.
Yeah.
It would be hard. It's because your ego gets involved with everything in a way.
It's like, it's so, for me, at least on my behalf, but it's also so personal, like I would feel like I'd be very grateful for where we got the company. Like I did all of this, and now it's like shifting. And I feel like that like sense of control would be gone. And I think that I would struggle with that for sure.
100%. 100%.
I am quite a controlling person.
Really? I never knew.
We both are.
I know.
We both are.
I think everybody is to a certain extent, right?
Yeah.
We all like to maintain control somehow of our lives, and it keeps us safe.
In some aspect, for sure. Yeah.
It keeps us safe.
Yeah. This has been amazing. It's very interesting. I mean, I've heard this conversation, I've heard kind of a little bit about it through your personal experiences, but I definitely learned a lot today, and it's very interesting. And I think that it's a very beneficial sort of therapy for a lot of people. And for anybody listening, where can they find you, and how can they get in touch with you? Like, kind of pimp yourself out a little bit.
Yeah. Well, the first thing I'd like to say is I do have a retreat coming in October at the Spa Eastman.
Oh, you're going to be at Eastman. I love that.
I'm going to be at Eastman for 4 days, and I have amazing guests. I have Geneviève Grandbois, who's going to come and talk about her journey as an entrepreneur, and she's going to do some Gikong as well. I have 2 sisters that sold their family business, Les Sœurs Jacques, and they had a door business. They sold a business. It was a family that they inherited from their father. They built it up and sold it, and there will be a guest as well. I have a psychologist who's going to come and talk about envy. in the business world mainly. And so, and we're going to go through the peel back, rewire, rise through, I can't wait to have, I can't wait. I have a few spots left. So from October 15 to 18, and you can book up directly on the website of the spa at the
Okay, cool.
Spa Eastman. And is it in French?
Yes, but I think it'll be, French,
Like
but
bilingual, yeah.
No, but just for
bilingual,
people who
yeah.
listen, yeah. And I'm wondering also, in addition, do you offer anything virtually? Because I know there's a lot of opportunity for that today.
My clients are across the globe. I have clients in Europe and South America, clients in the States, a little bit everywhere. And yes, I do work virtually. I do offer a 30 minutes free call where we just, discovery call. We just have, see if we're fit, if I can help. If not, can I direct you in another direction? Sorry. And yes, so it's on my website, hypnocoach.ca.
Hypnocoach.ca.
And so we like to finish off each episode with like a just little rapid question. So whatever comes to your mind first. The first one is, what's a belief you had to unlearn in order to finally feel successful and fulfilled?
That I have to do it alone.
I
love that.
Yeah, that's really, I had to do it alone. Like now I know I need to be surrounded and connected.
That's beautiful. Amazing, amazing. If someone listening is realizing that they're living a 7 out of 10 life, what's the first honest conversation they need to have with themselves?
Be grateful. This is an amazing place to be. This is an amazing place to be. And your gap might only be a perceived gap.
Mm-hmm.
And the gap, this is where the opportunities are. The opportunities for growth, for transformation, for exploring life, for having a different human being experience. And keep your 10 out of 10 like vignettes, moments, time, right?
Yeah. Amazing. And the last one is, what is one thing you hope people after listening to this conversation will feel?
I hope that they will feel that they have a wealth inside themselves, inside their subconscious mind that's probably that they are unaware of. And that wealth is really everything that's in their subconscious mind. The answers are there. That they just need a little bridge to go and open the right box and find the right key and then open the door and move on. I think that's one thing that we tend to forget about.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that's great.
I love this.
I love this. This is a wonderful, wonderful conversation and very aspiring. I learned things. I also made me think a lot about whenever you have conversations, you think about your personal, how did I react to this and what things did I do? And, understanding the 7 on 10 versus the 10 on 10. I think it was really wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a real pleasure for us.
Thank you a lot for inviting me. I truly appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to Skin Talks.
If this episode inspired you, taught you something new, or just made you feel seen, please share with someone you love. And if you believe in thoughtful and empowering conversations that help you make better choices for yourself around your beauty and wellness, please rate and review the show. It helps us to grow our community, and we deeply appreciate it. Because this isn't just about skin.
It's about claiming your beauty, feeling strong, informed, and at home in yourself.
See you next week.